decency back in the White House. I want to tell you my favorite Joe Biden story. I was governor in 2008. I was the first elected official outside Virginia to endorse Barack Obama for president. It was election day, and because I was governor, I was also sweating, not just to the window. I was worried about the voting booths and the polls and were the lines too long. In the middle of the morning on election day, that historic day, I got a call, and the call was from the Obama campaign, and it said, Senator Biden has just voted in Wilmington. On his way to Chicago for what will hopefully be a victory party, he wants to stop in Richmond and drive to a voting booth just to say hi to some voters. I told him there's an elementary school in Henrico. It's a 5-minute drive from the Richmond airport. You tell me what time you will be there, and I'll be there to meet you. So I showed up, and a lot of people in line, and they thought I was just there to shake their hands, and they didn't know I had a surprise plan for them. A guy walked out, and he had just voted. I knew him from the Carver neighborhood in Richmond. And he said to me, I just voted for President Obama. I've always wanted to see an African-American president. And Tim, I got something even more exciting. My nephew, very ill with sickle cell anemia, just turned 18. He's sitting in a car out here. He's too sick even to go in to vote. But he's driven with me, and the poll workers are going to take the voting machinery out to the car so he can vote. Pretty cool. So I said to him, hey, you want a surprise after you vote? Can you wait for a few minutes? And he said, what kind of a surprise? I said, I'm not telling you, it's a surprise. He said, me and my nephew will wait. They took the machinery out to the car. This young man who was very sick and sitting in the back seat voted. And I said, just sit here for a couple minutes. Something really cool is going to happen. And about 5 minutes later, a big bus came up and all kinds of security. And Joe Biden hops out and he's shaking everybody's hand. And I said, Joe, there's a young guy who's casting his first vote today. He just voted for you and Barack. And he's sitting in a car over there and he's too sick even to go in. Can you go over and say hello? Joe this was the most intense day of his life. He had all kinds of staffers telling him what to do. And he had a whole crew of press people following him around. And he said, absolutely, Tim. Where is this young man? We walked over to the car. The guy saw what was happening and was just like, are you kidding me? Joe Biden is coming over my car. The press is all following Joe. Joe just instinctively opens the door, hops in the car, shuts the door, the windows are up, no one can hear what's going on. But the press is surrounding the car and they're all just shooting footage of Joe talking to this very, very ill young 18-year-old who was extremely happy to be doing something so important on such a momentous day. And Joe stayed there talking, and the staff said, we got to go. And he stayed there talking, and everyone's trying to rush him. He was in such an animated discussion with this young man. I don't know what they said, but they talked for a very long time. And I know that is a moment that young man will carry with him for his entire life. Aren't you ready to have some decency back in your life? I am tired that we live in a time when the most known American, not only in this country but the entire world, and that probably means in some way the most known person in the world, is not a person that any parent, or any teacher, or any minister, or any moral leader says to a young person, act like that man, talk like that man, treat people like that man does. No one is holding up the most known American in the world as a role model for anyone. With Joe Biden, his character, his heart, his decency, his connection, and love for everyday Americans, we will have somebody back in the White House who will stand for the voice of everyday Americans. That's why I am so glad. You know this guy. He is the most energetic booster of every cause he associates himself with of anybody I've ever met. Tremendous record as governor, but especially a compassionate one in restoring the voting rights of more than 150,000 Virginians who are participating members of the community who deserve them. Please welcome our great friend, our former governor, Terry McAuliffe.
Evening, everybody! Are we fired up for Joe Biden? The next President of the United States of America! Well, another great night here in Virginia. How about their win in South Carolina? Every single county in South Carolina went for Joe Biden yesterday. So I thank you for coming out here tonight. This is personal for me. I've known Joe Biden for decades. When I ran for governor, Joe Biden came down and did at least 6 events for me. He's been there for Virginia Democrats every single day. And guess what? We broke a 44-year trend and we swept the state in 2013. And what happened? You look at what's happened with the Democrats in power here in Virginia over the last couple of years. Think of it. Medicaid expansion, raising the minimum wage, passing the ERA. We here in Virginia restored more felon rights than any other state in the United States of America. We reformed the criminal justice system, record investments in K-12, gave our teachers pay raises. That's what you get when you get Democrats in office. You know what I'm saying? And we had a lot of help. Joe Biden was our friend when he was in the Obama-Biden White House. Every time we needed help, I called Joe Biden. Here in Hampton Roads to save our port, which was bankrupt, we needed a line, we needed investment. Who do you think I called in the White House to get us $125 million? When the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel needed money, who do you think I called in the White House? When we had a settlement on the Shenandoah River because DuPont had poisoned it with mercury, we got the 8th largest settlement in the history of America. Who do you think I called to help negotiate that here in Virginia? Joe Biden! And that's why, folks, we need him in the White House. He has been here for Virginia time and time again. Joe Biden is about results. Pragmatic solutions to the problems that you folks face every single day. Lowering prescription drug prices, dealing with infrastructure, the things that you deal with. Now, some candidates are calling for a revolution. Well, you know what? We had a revolution 244 years ago. It ended 30 miles from here. We don't need a revolution. We need Joe Biden in the White House. And with Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, we will sweep here in Virginia. We saw Wayne Luria, Abigail Spanberger. We got great new dynamic members of Congress. Who is it best at the ticket to make sure they win re-election? Who is it? And the great thing about Joe Biden, you need swing voters. Who is it that we can send to South Side and Southwest Virginia to take our message all across the Commonwealth of Virginia? It is Joe Biden. So, folks, are you fired up? You need him. His speech last night, you saw him, the empathy. He talked about what it means to be an American. He talked about patriotism. We got a guy in the White House that doesn't know anything about patriotism, doesn't know anything about empathy. He said the coronavirus was a hoax. And just remember this, when we had that tragic day in Charlottesville, when 1,000 neo-Nazis came to our state and white supremacists. I talked to the president that day and I begged President Trump, come out and condemn hatred. You know what he did? He came out and said there were good people on both sides.